Have you ever wondered what happened to Jesus between his death on the cross and his glorious resurrection on the third day? This interval is often mentioned in the scriptures and Christian creeds, but its deeper significance can go unnoticed. Jesus' descent into Hades, also referred to as the descent into hell, is an essential part of his redemptive mission, filled with spiritual and theological implications that transcend time. The goal of this video is to explore the biblical and spiritual reasons behind this event. More than just a historical mystery, Christ's passage through Hades unveils fundamental truths about victory over sin, universal redemption, and the infinite depth of divine grace. Although mentioned in historical creeds, such as the Apostles' Creed, this idea often causes confusion, especially when attempting to understand what Hades means and how it differs from the concept of hell. For many, the word hell evokes images of eternal punishment and suffering. However, in the biblical context, Hades refers to the place of the dead, an intermediate state described in Jewish and Christian traditions as the temporary destination of souls before final judgment. It was in this realm that Jesus entered during the 3 days between his death and resurrection, fulfilling a divine purpose that is often overlooked or misunderstood. This video will address Jesus' descent into Hades in detail, presenting the biblical foundations that support this event and explaining its central role in the plan of salvation. Additionally, we will explore how this narrative continues to inspire hope and reflection in contemporary life, offering practical lessons for facing life's challenges. Throughout this video, we will reveal truths that can transform your understanding of the Christian faith. Get ready for an enriching journey that will not only clarify one of the most mysterious moments in biblical history, but also show how it connects to your life and spiritual walk. Understanding Jesus' descent into Hades requires delving into the biblical and historical context underpinning this doctrine. In Christian tradition, Hades is often misunderstood, being erroneously associated directly with the concept of hell. However, Hades, as described in the Bible, refers to the realm of the dead, a place where souls await their final destiny. This view has roots in both Judaism and early Christian theology. In the Old Testament, the equivalent of Hades is Sheol, described as the dwelling place of the dead, a shadowy realm separated from the world of the living. In passages such as Ecclesiastes 9:10, Sheol is portrayed as a place where there is no activity, wisdom, or knowledge. This perspective continued to evolve during the intertestamental period, when Jewish writings began to introduce more elaborate ideas about the state of souls after death. In the New Testament, the concept of Hades becomes clearer. It appears in several passages, including the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, Luke 16:19-31, where it is described as a divided place, with one part destined for the comfort of the righteous and another for the torment of the wicked. This division reflects a more developed view of the afterlife, serving as a backdrop for Jesus' descent into Hades. The most direct basis for the idea that Jesus descended into Hades is found in passages such as 1 Peter 3:18-20. For Christ also suffered for sins once for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit, in which he also went and made proclamation to the spirits in prison. This passage suggests that during the 3 days between his death and resurrection, Jesus went to Hades to proclaim divine victory and offer spiritual liberation. Another relevant text is Ephesians 4:8-10, which mentions Jesus descending to the lower regions of the earth before ascending to heaven. Historically, this doctrine is also mentioned in the Apostles' Creed, one of the earliest summaries of the Christian faith. The phrase, "he descended into hell," was included to affirm that Jesus experienced the fullness of human death, including passing through the realm of the dead, reaffirming his victory over sin and death. This historical and theological background is essential to understand how Jesus' descent into Hades was not an incidental event, but a deliberate part of the plan of salvation. With this foundation in place, we can move forward to explore the profound purposes of this descent and its spiritual impact. Jesus' descent into Hades is more than a mystical event or a passage casually mentioned in Scripture. It is a clear demonstration of the divine plan of redemption, extending from the living to the dead, encompassing all dimensions of human existence. This moment in the Christian narrative is rich with spiritual and theological meanings that reveal Christ's power, reach, and ultimate victory. One of the primary purposes of the descent into Hades was to proclaim Jesus' victory over sin, death, and the power of darkness. In Colossians 2:15, Paul writes, "And having disarmed the powers and authorities, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross." While this verse directly refers to Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, it also points to the complete act of redemption, including his journey into Hades, where Christ declares his authority over all powers of evil. In this context, Jesus' descent is not a passive action. It is a triumphant act in which he asserts his sovereignty even in the realm of death. Another significant purpose was to liberate the righteous who awaited the promise of redemption. According to Ephesians 4:8-10, Jesus took captivity captive, a reference interpreted as the act of leading the righteous souls from Hades, thus fulfilling God's plan for those who died in faith before his coming. This event symbolizes that Christ's sacrifice was not limited to the living, but had an eternal, transcendent impact across time and space. Jesus' descent into Hades is also a powerful reminder that there is no place where his presence and power cannot reach. He descended to the depths, crossed the barrier of the realm of the dead, to demonstrate that even in the darkest places, his light shines brightly. This reflects the idea that divine grace is boundless and that Christ's victory knows no limits. Finally, this event helps us better understand the depth of Jesus' identification with humanity. By experiencing death in its fullness and by passing through Hades, he not only fulfilled Scripture but also demonstrated solidarity with those who face suffering, death, and despair. Thus, Jesus' descent into Hades is both a proclamation of victory and an act of liberation. It seals the triumph over the powers of evil and reaffirms that redemption reaches all places, bringing hope even to those in darkness. This understanding sets the stage for connecting this biblical narrative to contemporary life and its impact on each person's spiritual journey. The story of Jesus' descent into Hades is not just a distant theological event. When we understand its significance, we realize that it offers profound and practical lessons for our own lives. Just as Christ descended into the depths to bring light and redemption, we too face moments of darkness where we can find hope and spiritual renewal. The first evident connection is the idea of victory over seemingly insurmountable challenges. In the Christian narrative, Hades symbolizes the darkest place, a metaphor for life's struggles such as loss, pain, and doubt. By descending into Hades, Jesus teaches us that no situation is so difficult, nor any place so deep, that divine grace cannot reach. This message serves as a reminder that even in the most intense crises, there is hope. We often find ourselves in our own Hades, periods of sadness, loneliness, or despair. In these moments, Christ's story invites us to trust in his redemptive power. For example, in times of loss, such as the death of a loved one, the message that Jesus conquered death brings comfort and spiritual renewal. It's as if he is saying, "I have been there, I know the pain, but I also know the victory." Furthermore, Jesus' descent into Hades challenges us to reflect on how we respond to crises. Rather than avoiding or fearing difficult moments, we are called to face them with courage and faith, trusting that God can transform even the most adverse circumstances into opportunities for growth and redemption. This approach is especially relevant in modern times, as so many people grapple with anxiety, depression, and uncertainty about the future. Another important point is Christ's solidarity with humanity. His descent into Hades shows that he fully experienced the human condition, including suffering and death. This reinforces the idea that God is not distant from our struggles, but close, walking with us through our challenges. For many, this truth inspires a deeper and more intimate relationship with God, as he understands our pain in a personal way. Finally, Jesus' victory in Hades reminds us of the importance of bringing light to others. Just as Christ freed captives and proclaimed hope in the realm of the dead, we are also called to be agents of hope in the world. This can mean supporting someone going through difficulties, sharing words of encouragement, or simply showing empathy in a moment of need. These connections show that Christ's story is not just a tale of the past, but a spiritual guide for our daily journey. His descent into Hades encourages us to trust, persevere, and be instruments of hope, even in the most challenging situations. Jesus' descent into Hades is one of the most intriguing and significant moments in the divine plan of redemption. Throughout this video, we've explored how this journey reflects the depth of God's love and the boundless extent of his grace. Now, it's time to recap the main points and reflect on how this narrative continues to transform lives and inspire hope. First, we saw that Hades, in the biblical context, is not a place of eternal punishment, but the realm of the dead, where souls await their final destiny. Christ's descent into this domain was not an incidental act, but a deliberate stage in his redemptive mission. He disarmed the powers of evil, as taught in Colossians 2:15, and proclaimed his victory over sin and death. Additionally, as Ephesians 4:8-10 reminds us, he took captivity captive, liberating the righteous who awaited the promise of salvation. This narrative not only illuminates the power of divine redemption, but also invites us to reflect on our own challenges. Just as Christ descended into the depths of Hades to bring light and liberation, we are called to trust that even in the darkest moments of our lives, God is present. His victory assures us that no situation is beyond the reach of his grace. Moreover, Jesus' descent challenges us to be agents of light in the world. Inspired by his example, we are called to bring hope, support, and empathy to others who face their own Hades, moments of difficulty, pain, or despair. Being instruments of love and redemption is a practical way to live out Christ's teachings. In conclusion, Jesus' descent into Hades is not just a story from the past, but a living message that transforms the way we view challenges and strengthens our faith. It teaches us that with Christ, there is always victory, even in the deepest darkness. Jesus' descent into Hades teaches us that there is no place where God's light cannot reach, bringing redemption, victory, and hope. This message inspires us to fully trust in the divine plan and to be instruments of light and love in the lives of others. Share this video with those who need this transformative message and leave your reflections in the comments. Together, we can grow in faith, hope, and love, exploring the depths of divine purpose. May God bless you and strengthen your spiritual journey every day.